Hey, what's happening? Welcome back to the GM. I'm your guy, Boulanger, and up next, we're going to be talking about the Baltimore Ravens' biggest offseason needs. Now, you've heard me address the issue of what they needed a couple of different times. We had a conversation about the depth chart where we went through all the positions from quarterback to offensive line, running backs, wide receiver, defensive line, inside linebacker, so on and so forth, right? And so now that free agency is essentially 13 days away, it's now time to address what Baltimore needs to improve on. So, uh, like I said yesterday in my other video, that we're going to start on the defensive side of the ball, since there are so many questions on the offensive side. Number one, Lamar Jackson. Is he staying? Is he going? And also the wide receiver position. And then there's several other positions that they have needs at. And so we want to address those positions until we get to March 7th or March 8th when we know about the franchise tag, that kind of status, so on and so forth. But so yesterday we did a video and we addressed the quarterback position where we picked here at the GM Rock Yassin as who the Baltimore Ravens should target in free agency. And primarily because he is the number two man cover corner um, available in this offseason. So he'll probably cost a little less money than Jamal Dean, who was compared to his teammate last year, Carlton Davis, who got a 3-year, $44 million contract. So one could expect that Singh could come in around 3 years, 36 million, 4 years, 40 million, somewhere in there, since he is said to be right under those two guys. And so that's what we have from the quarterback position. And so, but let's talk about all the needs that Baltimore has. Okay. So defensively, we know they need a cornerback, excuse me, to go opposite of Marlon Humphrey, and they probably need a nickel corner, which they probably could address in the draft. But but we went the free agency route just in case there's a lot of maneuvering and shuffling at the number 23 spot where the Baltimore Ravens are going to pick. So we want to go ahead and get a cornerback. That's why we picked Yasin. And so cornerback is one position of need. The next position of need, I believe, is going to be at edge rusher, since we are starting on the defense. You know, edge rusher is a position that the Baltimore Ravens have tried to address numerous times since um, T Sizzle left and went to Kansas City and also won a championship there. But we've seen Zadarius Smith, who was productive but got too expensive and he, walked away. We've seen Matt Judon, who ended up getting too expensive after being franchise tagged, had some Pro Bowl years, and he ended up in New England. We drafted Odafe. We drafted David Ajabo. And of course, we brought back Justin Houston and then brought in JPP. And so, um, and so JPP, Justin Houston are both free agents. Odafe had a huge step back in 2022 season. And David Ajabo, we only seen one flash of him when he bent the corner, sacked. I'm sure it was Joe Burrow caused a fumble. And so we believe that he could be something special, but we don't know. And so I don't believe that we can go into the draft and depend on another young player to be the catalyst at that edge rush position. The edge rush position has been mediocre at best over the last 3 or 4 years. And so I think that the edge rush position is the next position of need where we need to grab somebody who has some experience, young guy, not no old guy, somebody under 30 who has some experience, and they don't have to come in and be the guy, but they have to be a guy who has some productivity and still has some untapped potential. I think another position of need, if we're still on defense as of right now, I think it's going to be at the defensive tackle position, because we know that Calais Campbell's getting a little long in the tooth, and Calais Campbell may be a cap casualty. So having somebody to come in and fill in for him or relieve him is going to be vital. But I don't think we have to address that in free agency necessarily. I think we can certainly do that in a draft, bring in a young player that Calais Campbell can help groom. Um, so I think those are the three defensive positions: cornerback, edge rusher, and um, defensive tackle, because I think all the other positions are pretty solid. Safety is pretty solid. Um, one cornerback position is solid. Interior linebacker is the best in the league unless they do something crazy like trade Patrick Queen. And then along the defensive line, we have a lot of solid players. Justin Metabuke, Broderick Washington, Michael Pierce should be back this year. And I've heard some speculation that they may release him or something like that. So don't really know, but I know they did bring back Brent Urban. So that adds more depth. So I think that other than those three positions where we need somebody to come in and fill a role immediately, I think the defense is pretty solid. So if we jump over to the offensive position groups, biggest need, of course, is quarterback. I think that it's a big need because we don't have nobody signed at that position. And there's a huge question mark with Lamar Jackson. And then behind Lamar Jackson last year, of course, was Tyler Huntley. And then behind him was Anthony Brown. And so, all three of those guys are question marks, but the biggest, of course, is Lamar. And so I'm not going to really deal with the quarterback position because it's just too up in the air. But we can jump out to the wide receiver position, which is a position group that struggled last year and has struggled pretty consistently over a number of years. And so I think that wide receiver is a position that I don't think we have to go out and get the guy. Right. I don't think we have to go out and get a number one wide receiver per se, such as an AJ Brown, a Stephon Diggs, a DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, that guy. Would it be nice? Yes. But I think at this point, because we have low draft capital, and in order to go get one of those guys or that type of guy, we would have to get into 2024 draft picks and things of that nature. And I don't think that's something that Baltimore really wants to do. So I think that looking at the free agency market and picking from some of the best guys at that position, I think would be suitable, because I think that if you bring in at least two veterans, guys who are proven and guys who are proven playmakers, and then I think you mix in Bateman and also Devin Duvernay, I think the need at the wide receiver position is pretty solidified at that point. But again, just like the quarterback position, the wide receiver position is going to be up in the air, because a veteran wide receiver, I don't believe is going to sign on with a team that doesn't have a quarterback signed at this point in time. And so I think those two positions are going to be tied together based on what happens at the free agency onset. Another position group on offense that needs some upgrading, or maybe just a plug and play player, is going to be the guard position. At the right guard, we have Kevin Zeitler, who's a stud. He's been rock solid since he's been there. But Ben Powers is a guy who probably played his way out of Baltimore this year. He's played very well. And I think that if he gets the bag in free agency, that's going to leave a hole there. Now, we know that Ben Cleveland is there, but Ben Cleveland, been a third round pick from a couple of years ago, has not been able to really get on the field and solidify that spot. There's a lot of buzz around Ben Cleveland when he got drafted. His size, I think he's about 6'6", about 335, 340 pounds, and powerful. But with all those things being true, he has not been able to fill that void, and so I think that leaves a big need offensively, and so I think Baltimore will have to address that position in the draft. And so since we're talking about the free agent version, I think that we can keep moving from the left guard position, but I think that is certainly a big need that Baltimore will have to address sometime this offseason for sure. Another position group that's going to need some upgrading is going to be the running back room. I know we got J.K. and Gus Edwards, but I think Gus Edwards will be a cap casualty. I do not see the Baltimore Ravens paying Gus Edwards $5.6 million in his last year. Um, Now they certainly could offer him an extension and decrease his cap hit, but if there's no movement with an extension, I think he certainly will be a cap casualty in order to create space for another signing. So if that happens, then there are several guys in free agency that Baltimore can bring in, who are very quality players and certainly will have a lower cap hit. Uh, one. Uh, One in mind is the guy out of Carolina, Deontay Foreman, who played very well. But like I said, we'll address the offense position after we get some more understanding, excuse me, of what's going on with Lamar Jackson. And then I think that um, another position offensively that needs some upgrading. I don't think it's a hole necessarily, but I do think it's a big need. I think it's at the tackle position. Baltimore hasn't drafted a left tackle since Ronnie Stanley has been in a Ravens uniform. They brought in reclamation projects at the left tackle position, Jawan James, and also Villanueva, and they both had their times. But I think, though, of course, Villanueva retired. Jawan James went down with another Achilles tear, and so I think that though their time is over in Baltimore, so I think it's time for Baltimore to bring in a veteran left tackle. I think that having Patrick McCarry on the roster has been a real benefit, but I think it's time to allow Patrick McCarry to settle into a couple of roles to where he doesn't have to be all over the line from left tackle to left guard to backup center to backup right tackle. I think that allowing him to settle into a couple of positions will make him even better. But I think that bringing in a veteran left tackle, not somebody with a big name, but somebody who is probably at the end of their rookie deal, who may not have a lot of buzz around them, but has proven that they could step um, in crunch time and fill that void, because we just don't know. We just don't know if Ronnie Stanley continues to be healthy. So I think that that could create a hole there, and I think that position is also in need of solidifying right behind Ronnie Stanley. And I don't think that um, I don't think that you're going to address that in the draft necessarily, because I think that where the Baltimore Ravens are positioned with a first and a third, I think that if you're going to get somebody quality, you would have to get that guy at offensive tackle in the first round or the third round. And I think with other needs that need to be addressed, I don't think they're going to go that route. And so I think bringing in a left tackle who has some years under his belt, who could step in and fill that role will be beneficial. So listen, man, those are my takes, man, on the Baltimore Ravens' biggest needs this offseason. You guys let me know what you guys think about what you believe the Ravens need. Um, so listen, man, I appreciate you guys. If I can keep bringing this content to you, man, hit the like button, hit subscribe, share it with someone. Again, I'm your guy, Boulanger. This is the GM, and I'm out.